The recording has started. Is everyone okay with the beach straw?
Sorry, is that 4 or what?
4.
That's how I went. Right. Oh. I'm told it's. Oh, never mind.
It worked?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me a second, Ellen, and I'll be good.
Do you have a stand by any chance?
Oh, I don't. Sorry, I always use my opponents.
Yeah, do you want one?
Yes.
I don't know if this goes up. It's okay. I literally don't know how to
Yeah.
understand. I always have other people set them up.
Tanya, I think your stand.
Want me to-
Oh, I got it. I got it. Okay. Oh, cool. Thanks. Okay, everyone good?
Yes.
Cool, I'm good.
Anyone not? Plan of the United States ought to substantially reduce its military presence in the Republic of Iraq and the Syria-Iraq Republic. Fears of withdrawal or overblowing military presence drives conflict, not absence. Harrigan 22 continues presence of Americans Americans Iran exchange attacks by announced forces shifting non-combat mission traveling and where did I go? Oh, traveling and advancing change and descent without difference. American presence in Iraq and Syria is not required for safety nor protection. National interest troops theoretically the favorable state group was defeated when conflict in the 2 countries would take life bills and dogs all take unlikely amount of certain event withdrawal not be used as a institution and the war for security battlefields applied law to Iraq and Syria choices between legal and escalating. The advantageous Turkish invasion and Turkey's increasing airstrikes against the Kurdish YPG in Iraq and Syria backed by the US is now in Master 23. Escalating attacks by Turkish drones and Kurdish Iraq and Syria Operation Kalak. Turkey unleashed airstrikes in military strikes after the PKK Turkish operations targeted the YPG used also against the IS structure and despite YPG forces not fire a single shot in the Turkish airstrikes in Kurdish Iraq and Syria 53% English highest number since holding members of the PKK and affiliates were targeted. Airstrikes in Iraq and Syria become more frequent. 6,000 Kurdish airstrikes reach deeper. That's increasing chances of a Syrian invasion. Iran and Turkey want to reduce US presence and will use US support for the Kurdish forces to justify invasion. President 22. Turkey's doing a free invasion Syria and Iraq, leaving the fight against Syria public. Blame on Kurdish groups. Turkey's policy against the Rules about reducing use of Syria and Iraq. We use work with energy in Syria. Partners among Kurdish YPG use on coalition force against ISIS. Create the SDF drawing support for the rebels and Kurdish opposed to use one Syria. Promised the US to leave. Did not agree. The main obstacles were Iran, Turkey, and Russia remained used in Syria. Withdraw forces from the border remain alone. US working the SDF and Arab SDF continue to work with the US, Turkey, increase use of drones to kill. The members Turkey want neutralized fighting, so Turkey backed by Russia and Iraq. Pressure the US to leave. Continue to attack Kurdish until YPG responsibility. The SDF and the airstrikes used in difficult position. Iraq trying to use forces used to defend and stop invasion. Military presence is key. The SDF ceases to exist without its culture. 21. US soldiers helping Kurdish forces use military installation troops conducting interventions. SDF federal US major US partner. SDF not be able to sustain the use military presence. Troops conduct patrol missions in Northeast Asia with SDF and American troops over contributing constant building medical mission find information. Only US forces heighten the perceived threat of the PKK. Former 23 PKK poses the middle that really established control over territory, running rather than expanding robust stubborn skulls despite the associated with post in near the Turkey, Syria, Turkey, Iraq borders. PKK work closely with these military personnel, good working relationship, increasingly favorable and to rise. Oh, my laptop just died. I'm at 1. Sorry. It's turning back on. Give me 1 sec. I'm just gonna start from the current side. Only U.S. forces heightened the pursuit of the PKK. Former 23 PKK was in multi-bloody stoppage and control over territory, running rather than Spain, revoked separate results, fight limits, ISIS, group has Turkey, Turkey, Iraq border, PKK, were close to use much percent, good relation, cruising, favorable, maintain trust and position in NATO, allied Turkey's pro the PKK, state of partnership, and major source of friction. In Iraq and Syria are key. Turkey will scapegoat the U.S.-backed PKK and SDF forces, draws in Iran, fractures NATO, causes global war. Stewart, 22 Turkish airstrikes targeting Syria and Iraq, out of the invasion Syria would follow, claims response to explosion, Istanbul, alleging PKK and SDF, United States started blaming Turkish, incursion Syria will lead to a sharper warfare through the world. Trump announced leaving troops behind his support. Days later, Turkey launched invasion, roughing SDF linked to PKK and 6 forces, structure interest in defeating control of Syria, explosion, airstrike to be extra invasion, you have to use troops in the region, directly that bullet Syria rebel to intensify the violent campaigns, Russian military forces, suggesting link closer to the border combat, confrontation, devastating infrastructure, and support implication relations with Iran, action against the Kurds in Iraq and Syria, increased tension, drawing in Iran, first invasion, increased refugees in Iraq, and stretching support to the breaking point, Turkey leverage, Ukraine, consolidated load assets, wings, and the membership, carbon, and victory, even more concessions. That alone causes World War III later 19. Turkey's invasion escalated days away from global conflict between nuclear powers. Iran deployed thousands against a near-led proxy war, post-Arts in the entire world, Europe, Russia, and China involved in stability, war, triangle oil, and escalating to war between nuclear powers with Third World War. Advantage 2 is Iranian war. U.S. presence in Iraq and Syria sparks Iranian aggression in Syria 1113. U.S. and Syria attack with drones and rockets. Forces can attack 3 times over drones or 5 Thursday in weeks. U.S. troops have been attacked at least 40 times in Iraq and Syria. Believes the attack on groups backed by Iran. Troops are in a mission to advise and assist local forces. Growing concerns conflict could spread through the Middle East and troops in targets. Military presence escalates tensions with Iran through conflict with Iraqi military troops causes nuclear buildup for Seattle 21. In opening for Biden to disentangle from Marlborough as big news were starting with Iraq and Syria. Political costs have already been paid. Geopolitical consequences have been positive. U.S. military presence in Syria is illegal source. No interest. Presence of troops dragging the U.S. into another war. Biden shifting mission. Rock advisory troops will remain the same for context but position in the negative. Military target. U.S. troops attack for spreading west world. Iran shows that nuclear armed rocks in our country to become the battlefield. Military presence causes flare-ups and escalatory spirals. The risk of miscalc is rising. ICG 1110. U.S. and an escalatory spiral with Iran on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria amid the wider buildup of U.S. military for the attacks that turn effects of the question while regional escalation risk will continue to increase flare-ups between U.S. troops and militias. Biden airstrikes and retaliation. U.S. states intend to establish Deterrence attacks for refugees for Iran's campaign against the U.S. and Iraq and Syria. Renew the attacks against an effort by access that resist no additional funds exchange of power frequency and scope exchange risk escalation leads to an escalation for the strikes for refugees retaliation consumer conflict wider conflict between U.S. and Israel on striking and air resistance of attacks persist. Biden military Russia response. U.S.-Iran war escalates causes draw on cyber attacks and Middle East World War 19. U.S.-Iran war will be extremely that the U.S. would use air and naval power, bomb ships, roleplay missile sites, facilities, training on global cyber attacks, and instruction massing campaign will reduce escalation confidence. Iranian society against the U.S. European nations worry about refugees, put pressure on government Israel, worry about Iranian proxies, Russia and China would hit tail and exploit China depends on disrupting through the Strait of Hormuz. Russia with solidified ties with the Islamic Republic, women political legitimacy for the U.S. Iran running post causing global sales, so you can do cyber operation, targeting terrorism, and the China the conflict Iran is spreading chaos in the Middle East, Islamic Republic is capable now and will Iran's vast network of proxy activating Islamic American troops in Syria poorly defined, making them easy targets. Troops in Iraq, Iran, and Kurd shares organization strike study, Arabia, UAE, and Gulf nations support for Houthis increased taking proxies from in Western Africa, major threat to the use and surveillance hackers wreaking havoc, focus on oil, gas, financial, and power grid, potential for new strong attack proxies taking the world. Invasion gives ISIS a safe haven and allows quick resurgence. Khalid into top 20. ISIS shifted sharp, robust, and 32% to undermine the area. Turkey's incursion in Syria raised as a resurgent Kurds like first national 13 responding to incursion leading opposition against ISIS and Kurds holding thousands of fighters following offensive emerging mutually and operate with impunity after incursion ISIS increased the activities attacks the witness an upswing attacks weakened Kurds like first and terrorist population non-corporate harming counter-terrorism. ISIS able to retrieve greater intelligence protected population cells able to go less news task going to Syria could be a bad Turkey open the door for resurgence. ISIS uses safe havens to conduct nuke terror capable of existing with 16. ISIS to acquire a nuke risk of this the program and stateless as possible. ISIS attract engineers who recruits the background for the team card using smuggling. ISIS could acquire blueprints, records, use HEU purposes are not beyond capable or actors located involving striking engineers using simple procedures database record 1088 engines with that across the Black Sea River or material through the HEU neglected making it to what's the system does seem to be what even optimal black record makes nuclear smuggling with other high value goods. I'll read framing first. Pleasure and pain are intrinsically available. Mode 16, there's some unbelievably good about pleasure and unbelievably about pain. Winner was the enemy, includes pleasure more than self-pleasure. And her both place where we stand in line around. So, thus, the standard's consistency of keepness and act. These will prefer one actor like every couple policy bands, something called other development time for these actions. These no 10 for 6 and for C, constant comparator, loration, making two actions and tend to happen, and no activation. Decision for psychology, choosing the exact self inside, not between 3% of the outfits, choosing two actions, was mission. Independently, extinction ways destroys value to life, which is a prerequisite to anything that the one entity thinks is valuable. And nuclear terror is likely an existential figure. 21 terrorists can try to know how technology, material, is the leading natural government authorities with almost the naked concept is very real and probably naturally breaks of left and outside material technology costs. Russian concerned about Pakistan nuclear powers have less rigid controls that are gone easy build could be wide used for device with hazardous radiation. Such details by the available terrorist groups could target a military facility causing inhibition or to leak in or to make meltdowns or return noble if achievement terrorists who might try to attack a military target. Kind of target.
You ready for cross?
Yeah.
You read everything except you cut the last card at target.
The last card and the advantage 2 at target, yeah. And then on framing I set extinction always.
Awesome. Let's talk about your first advantage.
Yeah.
Who is Turkey gonna cause a war with?
So the argument is that Turkey is on the brink of invading Syria in the status quo.
Sorry, they invaded Syria in 2019. What do you mean they're on the brink? There's been a civil war.
The 1NC can read evidence that indicates that. The 1AC has read evidence from 2 months ago.
I'm sorry, are you gonna say that Turkey is not actively trying to strike and kill Kurds in the status quo?
Well, that's exactly our argument. That's uniqueness for the F.
That they've already invaded?
No, uniqueness for the affirmative. Like, our evidence from 2023, the first piece of 1AC evidence says that Turkey is unleashing new airstrikes in the status quo in Operation
Okay,
for
who
Growth.
do these airstrikes cause war with?
Well, the argument is that they cause instability in the region that draws in great powers.
Okay, what great powers?
The Stewart evidence makes a good claim about this. It explains how it causes fracturing of NATO because they are forced to get drawn in. Those violent campaigns
How
are
are they
destabilizing.
forced to get drawn in?
Because the great powers obviously have interest in regions that are becoming increasingly
Why?
destabilizing.
Why would they get drawn into a war if it's going to cause global nuclear war? NATO historically has been trying to
I don't
avoid
understand the question. Like, if there's
NATO's whole purpose is Article 5 to deter, right? They
Sure.
don't want a war to happen. Why would they intervene?
Sure, so I think that like misses the boat on the 1AC scenario. Like, if there's a global war taking place, the 1AC Stewart evidence, I can read lines if you want, makes claims about how they've been able to use it as leverage to consolidate increased power.
Who?
Turkey.
Turkey. Okay, Turkey's increasing their power. Why does Turkey keep on striking if the U.S. is there? Is it that they're mad at the U.S.?
Wait, what?
Are you
The
saying?
argument
Are you
is that
saying?
the United
You say quote only U.S. forces hiding the pursuit
Yes,
threat
okay.
of the PKK.
Correct.
Turkey will scapegoat U.S.-backed PKK and SDF forces. It's the scenario that
Correct.
Turkey strikes U.S. forces
Well, the argument is that Turkey is
and
on the
causes
brink of invading
escalation with
Syria.
the U.S.
Okay, yeah, so two things. First, the first part of the scenario is that Syria is increasing or that the Kurds are increasing airstrikes against Turkey. That happened, that broke a ceasefire that existed for years. The response to that from Turkey is retaliating with airstrikes. So, like, both, and the reason that the PKK and YPG exist is as a result of the United States. Turkey does not have an incentive to launch without United States presence because there is no perception that damage can be done.
Okay, so Turkey is a part of NATO. Why would Turkey escalating things cause NATO to fight Turkey?
Well, it's not that it would cause NATO to fight Turkey. The Lantier evidence explains this pretty well. It causes the brink of great powers to get involved due to
But
proxy.
why are the
It poses
great
threats
powers?
to the
Why are
world.
the great powers getting
Because
involved?
great powers
Turkey
have
is part of
economic
NATO.
interests in the region that are all
Why
deeply involved.
does NATO care if Turkey, which is a member of NATO, is
Well, like-
increasing its power in the region?
Well, it's not that they're increasing their power, it's that they're launching like destabilizing airstrikes that are drawing in
How about
Russia,
this?
China, Europe,
NATO
etc.
operates by consensus. Turkey can veto
Oh,
anything that
well,
NATO
like,
does.
I don't like all of these seems overly hypothetical. Like, what incentive does NATO have to get drawn in? We read nuanced pieces of 1AC evidence that say that they are on the brink of doing so in the status quo because every great power is drawn into the conflict.
Okay, I'll send it out. Order is 5 off case. On case is Turkey or on. Thank you.
Yes. 5.
Yes. Tell me when y'all are good.
Give me a sec. I need a-
Oh, Tanya, did your stand change?
My what?
Oh, I guess it just
Oh, I
doesn't have the other
think
thing.
it
I was like, whoa, it definitely looked different yesterday.
Download. Good.
First off, it's counter when the United States ought to substantially increase its military presence in the Republic of Iraq and the Syrian-Iraq Republic. The problem is we haven't done enough. The counterplan strengthens deterrence. Seligman 22. Commander of the Kurdish SDF is calling on Biden to stop Turkish ground offensive. The U.S. has not done enough to prevent to launch a cross-border operation on patrol withdrew American troops from northern Syria, allowing Turkey to launch a deadly operation that displaced 300,000 people. Turkey launched a series of deadly airstrikes. Turkey needs the U.S. and Russia permission to move forward. The United States has to step aside and allow these attacks to occur. The United States should never treat its alliances so carelessly. And I'm adding a plank to the counterplan. The United States ought to stop giving permission and not give permission for Turkish invasion of the Republic of Iraq and the Syrian Arab Republic. I'll send out the thing after. Second off. American military presence is strong and increasing and serves as a crucial deterrence value in the Middle East. Freeman 23. The U.S. increases military presence in the Middle East since the war between Israel and Hamas aimed at deterring a larger regional war. Than our carrier strike group, nuclear powered submarine force, carrier strike group warships, fire as a deterrence. The Pentagon deployed 1,200 troops since the war. And U.S. withdrawal guarantees Middle East war deterrence power vacuum and allied prologue. Fleshler 21. Primary maritime choke points are in the Middle East. No nation that might harmlessly replace the U.S. and China would leverage benefit of non-proliferation has been more prominent with increasing Iranian nuclear strike by Saudi Arabia. About to develop a Iran-Desel cable in the region of falls soon. Iran falls for Syria. Israel's destruction. Two states has never seen farther away. Iran is to expand militarization to Syria and Iraq. Iraq Iran has been clearing its objective to drive the U.S. out, which, if used as necessary for Iran goals, Turkey has aspirations in new region and perceives the U.S. as ready to withdraw those who threaten and expend their ability to project power, and those who support our hedging it by building military capabilities on negative dynamics argument. By perception, they would be accelerated for withdrawal became a reality. Every U.S. administration and partner believes the presence is protecting freedom of navigation prevented by a regional war. And Middle East war goes global and nuclear plans 2020. Mid-East conflict was found to World War III strikes and heralded Syria drawing in Russian forces around its ships in the Gulf of Oman. They could become involved in Erdogan's troops are deployed in northern Syria, making its actions unpredictable. U.S. China, Russia, Israel have nukes, possessing next generation hypersonics, and is conceivable of nuclear exchange. And third off. U.S. dominance in the Middle East is strong but shaky. Military presence is key to countering Russia's expansion. China and Russia perceive great power competition as zero-sum. Peak is 23. The region's undergoing transformations have gone in Washington to Ukraine and zero-sum game perception for China to get involved in the signal to secure partnership with Iran, expanded relationship with Russia led subversive actions around Burmese status has been mitigated considerably by China, ground printing by refusing to increase oil production in the U.S. The Saudi relationship is important to the U.S. trying to placate the UAE like Saudi Arabia's expanded relationship realizes London and North China can effectively replace the U.S. more than a tectonic. This is negotiating process. The U.S. is by no means out of the Middle East. The recent developments reflect uncertainty and confusion about its emphasis on alliance require the U.S. to restore presence. China may be able to replace America, but Americans don't want to see tumultuous streets and look towards Beijing. And withdrawal triggers sign on Russian fill, and the U.S. is still a major player, but the plan triggers great power competition. SCMP 21. U.S. scales back its military presence. China and Russia fill the gap. The U.S. is slowly may look elsewhere in an area of intense competition. Russia and China looking to cold cities, even vacuum moments they can explode. There may be an opportunity for Russia to sell air defense system, trying to expand its economic power, establish military bases. America's primary long-term security challenge, Beijing seeking info tools in Africa and the Middle East. China believe doing more may prevent China and Russia. The U.S. is the partner of choice when the opportunity is not available to hedge its hedge. And great power competition. MENA goes nuclear. Continued U.S. presence is necessary to prevent arms racing and miscalculation. But me 2015. Some argue the United States should reduce our involvement in the Middle East wars, destroy life itself to make such wars less likely the U.S. ensures bombers taking energy out of the geopolitical competition to prevent any power from gaining by ability to blackmail the world along its area of great power peace. The major powers were engaged in middle builds of a strong American presence in the Middle East, addressing security competition with the United States, which China would see we need to protect security, accelerating build up of Japan and India would see this as a threat across the road to serious competition for security, which hostility risk of a great power conflict would intensify. And skip the fourth off. Interpretation here for apps must reduce military presence in the entire West Asia North Africa region in words of phrase 08. In means throughout region, dictionary.com, the entirety of an area, and violation they do their plans specify thinking on limits of ground, expose limits to every individual or subject of every country, after moves that crap and excuse guarantees on perceptions of large withdrawals like assurance and deterrence and country specific distance ridiculously outweighs its Bruce. We couldn't engage in the first place, the beginning interpretation is a yes no question and sets the best topic norms, all reasonabilities, arbitrarily suggested direction draw, and no art gas being a topical burden that we can dial of their advocacy. Case. First on Turkey, the impact is thumb. Turkey invaded in 2019. Lantier was literally written 4 years ago and says, quote, the Middle East is only days away from an all-out war between the major regional powers that could trigger a global conflict between nuclear-armed world powers. If we were days away 7 years ago, then why hasn't it happened yet? And no NATO drawn to Turkey is a part of NATO, which means that there's no way that they would go against their own ally. They have literally given no scenarios. They say trust our evidence. Too bad they can't point to a single part of their evidence that actually says this, plus their evidence is really badly cut. Turkey wants to be our ally. American military presence, the only stabilizing force preventing further aggression. I read yellow. AC France 22. Washington's the only powerful country that might prevent Turkish invasion. History shows U.S. has been able to slow or prevent invasions, working with Trump. Ankara got the green light for Afrin. Ankara pressures the U.S. to enable an invasion. Turkey demanded a new invasion. This required agreement from the U.S. and withdrawal from Syria emboldens Turkey, ISIS, and Russia, which turns all of their scenarios. Robo 23. If the U.S. were to withdraw necessary efforts against ISIS would fall apart quickly. ISIS would feel emboldened. Majority areas would become destabilized. The withdrawal would move a bigger reason that the SDF is continuing anti-ISIS effort close cooperation with the U.S. forces on the ground, which might also encourage a new invasion by Turkey. The SDF would collapse locally to play free for all. Such instability would jeopardize humanitarian programs, a tiny military footprint, and cost our negligible compared to gargantuan costs that the U.S. would incur if it were forced to take on ISIS. But it also blocks the Russian military mission in Syria, undercutting one of the key sources of Moscow's siege. And U.S. withdrawal empirically causes Turkey's invasion. They've misleadingly highlighted their evidence. I read yellow. Stewart 22. Trump announced it would not stand in the way of a Turkish incursion. Days later, Turkey launched an invasion. And skip the next card. Iran. American forces in Iraq and Syria are key to deterring ISIS and other terrorist groups. Where 11-8. American forces in Iraq and Syria killed ISIS militants and detained CENTCOM remain steadfast and during defeat of ISIS. Challenges include ongoing attacks against bases in Syria and Iraq, protect U.S. service members, deter other groups or Russian countries from escalating or during commitment to the lasting defeat of ISIS. Any further military efforts to prevent ISIS focus on the defeat of ISIS mission and provided presence to ensure security and stability. And forces in Syria are key to coordination with the SDF in fighting ISIS. Row 23. U.S. forces are coordinated with SDF leaders, provided air cover and assisted military counter-terrorism. U.S. forces improve security or counter-terrorism operations, help to restore local governance and security. The U.S. order for unnecessary efforts against ISIS would fall apart quickly. ISIS feel vulnerable to intensify operations in Syria. Withdrawal would also encourage a new invasion of northeastern Syria, including diplomatic pushback. SDF would likely collapse, but certainly stop fighting ISIS. Withdrawal could lead to a bloody free-for-all. And Turn the solution not U.S. withdrawal, currency more speed, more support, not less. I read yellow. Khalifa and Turskov 2020. The region will remain unstable stable as long as people believe that the Americans can pull out at any moment. The Islamic State exploits their uncertainty. Tomorrow, operators come to ask me to welcome them into my home. I will do so. If they don't, they may take revenge once the Americans pull out and the Syrian Democratic Force to collapse. Major all causes Iran is striking U.S. troops to be seen as though they are intervening in the Gaza war, and U.S. retreat emboldens Iranian aggression by showing them that it works. In no escalation, Iran won't directly attack Turkey, a native country, and nuke out of existence, and no impact to Iran war. History proves. Well, 2012. Assumption that Iranian nuclear weapon would be a shattering its asserted and release image of prior prolif have the same consequences as the spread of nukes and have remarkably little impact on holidays and major power prolif has not transformed weak states into influential actors and not triggered armies so engaged development reinforced caution that bombing and escalate enables Scotland to build in a British or French acquisition, so their decline on in the slightest China remained a minor Israel using conventional superiority against not triggered arms race. I skipped the fourth off, and the last card on Turkey. Let me just send out the plan text for the first one.
Good.
Yeah, do you want me to send out the plan text first, or?
I floated, so it's fine.
Okay, cool.
Status.
Condo.
Okay, cool. U.S. dominance in the Middle East strong now. Why is that extended deterrent working?
Yeah, it's working because we have military there. If we have military there, we both strengthen people who are fighting against instability and also prevent it from like escalating. These people know they can't take off.
That's fine. Russia fill-in. 1AC uniqueness says Russia is already involved in the region and talking to Kurdish people about deploying more troops. I guess why is the United States outperforming Russia now? What piece of 1NC evidence? 1NC evidence says so.
Every piece of 1AC evidence that says that the STK relies upon
The SDK.
The PKK, I believe is the term. I might have gotten it
fair
wrong.
enough.
PKK relies upon U.S. presence, seems to imply that the U.S. is the dominant force supporting the PKK. Our point is that you pull out, which allows Russia to sort of just totally take over, and it also increases
What
the
piece of
incentive for
1NC
countries like
evidence indicates that the
countries-
United States is outperforming Russia, or
because the entirety of your 1AC is saying that the PKK is being supported by the U.S.
okay, is that like the only 1NC uniqueness argument, or is there
No,
a
we
piece
also read a
okay.
card on. We also have a general thing about dominance in the Middle East. That was our Pinkus 23 card, which would argue if we abandon our allies in the PKK, it spills over to the Middle East broadly. B is that our card on case, it's the Roebuck 23 card, specifically says, quote, our presence also blocks Russian consolidation of its military mission in Syria, undercutting one of the key sources of Moscow's surprisingly resilient prestige in the region.
Okay, that's fine. 1NC evidence is about, like, actually, that's fine. Wait, you didn't read the fourth off, correct?
No.
Okay, cool. Topicality is the violation just specifying a region?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. The first off, counterplan strengthens deterrence. To what degree does it substantially increase presence?
Our Seligman 22 card provides a normal means for this and specifically says that there's a recommendation the Kurdish people have asked for, the PKK has asked for a number of troops, which we say is sufficient to solve.
Case turn withdrawal causes ISIS. Is there a terminal to this that's been read?
The 1AC, nuclear terror. ISIS uses
that's
safe havens to conduct nuke terror.
Fair enough, forgot I read that. 1NC. Oh wait, what do you not read on the Iran advantage? You read everything?
I read everything.
Okay, cool. And on the first advantage, you read everything except the which one?
Sisodia card.
card. Okay, cool. Back to the withdrawal DA. I guess the Welsher evidence. Can you explain why U.S. withdrawal threatens the Middle East, or threatens specifically Syria and Iraq?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Why does it threaten or result in war between Syria and Iraq? I'm confused about the war.
Wait, what are you asking about?
I'm confused. The first DA says there's a power vacuum that exists. The second DA says someone fills that.
No. U.S. withdrawal causes a power vacuum. Sorry, deterrence, power vacuum, and
Okay,
prolif
that's
are all words.
Got it. Starting from.
Okay. The marked doc is not loaded, by the way, with the plan text.
status of everything's conditional?
Yeah, there's only one counterclaim.
Oh, yeah. Okay, 315. The order is case, topicality, the advantage counterplan, deterrence, Russia fill-in. So,
So 145 left.
are we using 5?
Yeah, unless you don't want to.
No, I'm close 5. I'll take a little more front time. Okay, cool. 330.
Cool, so 130 left.
Or 129. So,
Sorry, am I repeating the order?
yeah, sorry, the doc is just sitting on top. It's the case T, the advantage counterplan, the deterrence DA, and then the other DA.
Case, T, counterblend, deterrence, fill.
Yeah.
Order on case is Turkey, Iran, right?
Yes.
Let me just download the doc.
Hold on. Can I borrow your stand?
Yeah.
Okay, let me know.
Sorry, did you say you already found it? You uploaded it up?
I just did. It should be on the
Close.
Cool. I'm good.
Same here.
Anyone not good? Let me just try the doc. Yeah. The plan withdraws key troops that maintain the YPG, SDF, and PKK that calls Iranian Turkish anger stops and things from a Turkish invasion of Syria. 1 and C1. The 1 and C1. No NATO drawn in the 7 days are ridiculous. They haven't read clear evidence that says the opposite. And 1 and C Lanigan. The bottom of the 1 and C says that a World War III is imminent because great powers have vested interest in the region, which outweighs Marlborough assertions. So 1 and C, the Turkey wants to be our ally argument, and the destabilizing argument is so blatantly mishighlighted. The line before says that Turkey wants to invade, and their only real conflict is with the United States, which is uniqueness for the 1 and C because it proves the only incentive for invasion is United States presence or the fear that the United States has incentives. 1 and C2, Roebuck is wrong. Russia fill-in will be answered when I get to the DA and 1 and C. Stewart says that Russia is already invested in the region and telling the Kurdish people to invest more troops, which proves uniqueness flips affirmative. 1 and C. Stewart doesn't make sense. The re-highlighted one line is about a different invasion that took place. The thesis of the card is that those US troops are at risk in the status quo and don't help with deterrence. It's also not reverse causal. I'll concede no Iran war and all causes. 1 and C, whereas in the context of killing ISIS members, are argues that those terror groups would have no incentive to exist without the United States. Less US presence decreases terrorism by energizing local militias broadly. 1127 White House will trap 2 presidents that are in Iraq, leaving to self-interest and foreign countries by motivate local belligerents. No link the effective US deterrence is winning. 1124 and deterrent impact of US forces. Russian law provides for reason where US forces by says wrong where trouble and impact regional power reason tax and deterrent effects when the forces use troops. It is local ambitions security troops defense local forces of supply line forces that defense in the winter on its proxy which also Washington level internal stability Afghanistan roads in 21 political violence implemented by 80% for moving forces, left elbows, versus curves, other mass culture, tech, spin bogs, fight, crossflight to the counterplane, topicality, I mean, definitely singles are proven by 2 incipient 10. Lord to that purple value 2, even 10% of states, less not 2, pairs, and pairs of almost sufficient engineering, some 2 is lower counter the FK specification because of incompletely spare flows are semantically incomplete and requires specification that proves this plan solved. I mean, plan complete spare because of context that's for 2. Not gonna read the card. Prefer our interpretation. Debatably always precision view precision of floor being in literature, anything else is arbitrary slides, linguistic and acronym standards to debate. For background, stock, access, depth of location, basics, and you play depth across all subject areas, system, in fact, true linear, and class reducing 2 to 2, we differ far different than each of the coordinates. Remember the context of low iteration, no soft tip, advantage enemies, only after making race are possible. After RBIs pursue the time for 20 hour, can't reduce it, both with the interpretation, which otherwise the one to spam as many theory shells as they want possible. Reading truth theory shells, your interpretation, counterplan, first, cross-fly deterrence fails. This debates the question of deterrence. We win that deterrence is collapsing in the SAS code, then disproves the ability for the counterplan to succeed, which will enter all of the deterrence DA. The second link doesn't mean anything. What does it mean to give permission? I truly am confused. Turkey-US relation is deteriorating in the SAS code, so there's no reason that would ever succeed because Turkey does not listen to the United States when anything that would fuel anti-US sentiment, which is the reason that escalation is happening in the SAS code. The entirety of the case is a straight turn to the net benefit of the counterplan. Deterrence DA. 1. Unique constraints. Link deterrence isn't working. Iran's approaching on the use through the axis of resistance with other Middle Eastern states. 2. Link turn when it's arrogance says American troops on the coast of conflict based in Iraq and Syria, anchor on the state back group project Moscow. Iraq has 3. Link turn to use presence increase the risk of Moscow, even if Iran isn't looking to start war now. 2. 1020. Iran is not looking for distance with the United States, looking to rapture pressure on the use through proxies in the regional borders of the counter regional conflict. There's one time just a reaction from the SK. 4. No impact withdrawal encourages diplomatic relations to American absent proceed. Also, non regional parts of the coming to will pull out. Reason not to send cancel of the for diplomatic side running to help means when you shoot the rock after saying on the security release building of region between Syria and less than the budget use. State rock interior. Russia fill in 1. Withdraw in Afghanistan because a decrease of assurance between the link lacks uniqueness. 2. No link American base in other Middle Eastern countries. Deterrent no reason why Syria and Iraq are key. 3. No link China doesn't want to be involved in Middle East conflict like involvement. 22. Beijing remains uninterested inside the region. Leaders are given what they can on track to serve the United States. China shoot away from security rules of the United States. Trying to close borders. Deeper involved in the Middle East. Making trials of a cautionary tale for political leaders and budget. Federal operating reform, more technical action, governments closely engaged. We're trying to no impact if skip that card, drop unique constraints of ballot. When I see Stewart says that Russia's already involved, and when I see Hannigan says use is already increasing, only question of reducing meeting tension because Russia has already filled in. Russia fill in withdrawal, and the Afghanistan triggers a decrease of insurance, which means the link or already read that thing. The 2 DAs are functionally the same thing. If we win that deterrence is collapsing, then the status quo, it answers their ability to solve their scenario because it proves that it's already dropping. The great power competition scenario proves uniqueness for the absence. It proves they have vested interest in the region, which answers the 1 and C scenario, but it's not surviving in the status quo. 1 and C Welsher on the go back to the deterrence data. The 1 and C Welsher card just says that that China has. It's all answered by the arguments that China has no incentive to replace the United States. 1 C Hannigan says that Russia is already incentivized in the region, which is our argument that Russia is overtaking the United States in the status quo, which means we link turn. Since the plan would resolve the precedent of the United States being done by Russia and China.
Cool. The only independent voting issue was RBIs.
Yeah.
Is there a perm on the counterplans?
No.
Order's gonna be deterrence, dissad, fill in. Oh, sorry. T. Deterrence, dissad, fill in, dissad, counter plan, case. On case, it's first Turkey, then Iran.
Can you repeat the order?
Yes.
T what?
T. Deterrence, dissad, fill in, dissad, counter plan, Turkey, Iran.
Cool.
Everyone good? You all good?
It's done with.
Oh, okay.
I'm good.
Cool. On T, no RVIs. One is that it's illogical to give them for them to win just because they follow the rules. Second is that T is considered a burden of the debate. They just prove that they met the threshold to enter the debate in the first place. And three is that it encourages abuse by discouraging topicality, which easily outweighs because the affirmative determines the direction of the rest of the debate. We're determines the direction of the rest of the debate because they set the ground for what are we even talking about. And four is it discourages substantive education by locking me into a bad T shell. And five, there's no way to tell the T shell is bad until I hear the 1 hour answers to it. Deterrence to sound. I'm conceding there's no impact because it doesn't spill over into some other area. Other people don't think that we're pulling out of deterrences and alliances get freaked out. And I'm conceding that I'm extending that they said there's no Iran war on their own advantage, which means there's no impact to this scenario. Fill in this out. I'm conceding that China doesn't care about filling in, but only the U.S. deterrence can crowd Russia out. That'll be on case. Yeah. They say both of the dissads rely on the same thing, that deterrence is failing in the status quo. Too bad I'm going for a counterplan, which says that we actually increase deterrence. Counterplan proper. The counterplan is that we massively increase our military presence in the Republic of Iraq and the Syrian-Arab Republic. All of the affirmative scenarios rely on a world in which U.S. deterrence is not enough. U.S. deterrence isn't enough to keep Turkey from doing these low-level attacks. U.S. deterrence isn't enough to stop ISIS. The solution to this is not to completely pull out and give in to these powers, but rather instead to actually support our troops, send more troops so that they can actually deter properly. They've conceded our Seligman 22 card, which says that if we just send more troops, it will work. The problem is that the U.S. is not doing enough, which means it's try or die. The counterplan strengthens deterrence and avoids the case turns, but no per means that a chance we solve better easily outweighs. Think about the way that think about what happened when Trump pulled out of Syria before. Guess what? Turkey then massacred Kurds and kept on invading, which clearly proves that pulling away does not stop Turkey revisionism, but rather just encourages them to keep on going, which means that if the scenario is that NATO gets super freaked out by any Middle Eastern instability and any Turkish invasion, that they actually increase the chance of Turkey invasion, but that'll be below. Their first thing is that deterrence fails. They are assuming a world in which we are not doing enough deterrence, which is exactly why we do what is needed. Our Seligman 20, they've conceded our Seligman 22 card, which says that the amount of deterrence we increase is sufficient. Then they say they don't understand what the no permission stuff is, but I'll explain that on case. Basically, Turkey, before they ever invade Syria, has asked us, are we okay if we invade Syria in this way? And we have said yes, and then they have invaded. That's why Trump was like, yo, Turkey, you can invade Syria, and then they did, which means that we just stopped giving them permission, and they won't alienate us, because again, Turkey is a part of NATO. They want the U.S. on our side, because they want our nuclear umbrella on their side. Then they say they're cross-applying the terror scenario on the terror page, but I'll straight turn the terror scenario. Turkey. The 1AC is grossly mishighlighted. All of their cards say that Turkey is only doing it because the U.S. has stepped in. I'll read you lines from their 1AC Franceman 22 card. Quote, Washington is the only powerful country that might prevent Turkish invasion. History shows U.S. has been able to slow or prevent invasions, which clearly shows that the Turkey cares about keeping us on their side, because again, they're part of us. Their whole point is Ankara only invaded Afrin, which is a part in Syria, when they got the okay from the Trump administration, which means that the whole point is, they said, quote, Turkey demanded a new invasion. This required agreement from the U.S., which clearly proves that U.S. agreement is what's giving them the green light. So U.S. pulling out will just further cause Turkey aggression and revisionism. Our Robook 23 card is really good on this and says, quote, that our presence also blocks Russian consolidation of its military mission in Syria, meaning that if we have more troops there, they don't dare escalate, because Russia doesn't want a nuclear war with the U.S. either. Their Stewart 22 card, also very mishighlighted. It says, quote, Trump announced it would not stand in the way of a Turkish invasion. Days later, Turkey launched an invasion. Their only answer to this is that deterrence is failing in the status quo, but they conceded our card that says that we actually solved that because we increased it. They say their cards actually say the opposite. Too bad I just read you lines from the card American forces in Iraq and Syria are key to deterring ISIS. Our Where 11 A card is super good on this. A is that it states all their evidence and actually says that only the U.S. presence is able to deter other groups or countries from escalating, where only us are able to actually clamp down on ISIS. And second is that our Rulebook 23 evidence makes a reverse causal claim that actually says that if we were to draw, quote, the necessary effort against ISIS would likely fall apart quickly. ISIS would feel emboldened to intensify operations. All of our cards say withdrawal won't actually work. I'll line by line their answers here because they were super bad. Their first answer was that deterrence doesn't work, and they read the Brownlee card, but Brownlee never says actually anything, and never says that local forces actually have the capacity. Leading it up to them will do nothing, because guess what? They don't have nuclear weapons or the giant budget of the U.S., and B, they're fighting multiple people on multiple flames. They're also fighting the Turkish, which means they won't be able to focus. C is outweighs on time frame. Even if they could build up the capacity to fight ISIS, they don't have the capacity right now, which means they're trying or dying. D is that obviously the U.S. helping them is also in their own self-interest, because they have read evidence that says nuclear terror will cause extinction and quickly, which means this outweighs on time frame, and the U.S. has a self-interest to also do this on their card. A is their Waldorf card disproves the Turkey scenario because it says the U.S. relies on Turkey and that they're actually an ally, and B proves that the problem is that we just haven't sent enough troops there yet. Waldorf 1124. Deterrence on chief using small contingents of the force of the United States and about 900 troops in Syria to produce big outcomes often doesn't work in the long haul because of their small size. Security of U.S. troops depends almost entirely on Turkey, which clearly proves that the only difference between this and the Taliban is that ISIS wants to get nuclear weapons, which they've read evidence for, versus it only worked peacefully in Afghanistan because the Taliban didn't want nuclear weapons.
I have like 4 seconds.
Go for it.
Case number 1. Or I guess the case and the counterclaim will kind of be done together, but I'll answer the counterclaim like explicitly, I guess. Let me know when this gets.
I'm good.
I'm explicitly conceding the Tunar's argument that the terror scenario outweighs on time frame. Here's the framing issue. You only answered the card, but you conceded that the AF and the 1AC straight turned the terror scenario. The Tunar centered their understanding on the idea that increased military presence can deter Syria or can deter terror groups. Our argument is that the incentive would never exist absent United States involvement, so we control the root cause of why crises exist in the first place. They have dropped that American presence emboldens rebel groups and non-state actors. The presence of the United States is threatening, and these terror groups see the United States as a threat, which is exactly why it results in resurgence of terror groups and the resurgence of terror groups in ISIS. Lack of United States presence would mean that there is no deterrent or threat that exists in the first place, so terror groups would have no incentive to attempt to seize regional controls of areas. It was an argument in the 1AR that the Tunar straight up conceded, and it is carded with 1AC Stewart. I am explicitly conceding terror outweighs, which should filter your ballot. Now, every idea of the Tunar, both pieces of offense they go for, deterrence and terror, are reliant on the idea that increased United States presence does something. That is one step. We are the step before, which is the idea that withdrawing would solve the incentives for these groups to exist in the first place. I'll start on deterrence. 2 arguments they conceded. First, Palmer says that the United States backing the PKK is the reason tensions exist in the first place. Turkey consolidates power against the YPJ because they perceive the United States as having presence. The Cadro evidence says the SDF would not exist without the United States to begin with, and the only reason Turkey fears fears the YPG is because they are backed by the United States. Turkey knows the YPG, which is a Kurdish militant group, has no power on their own, but they understand that with the United States, that power exists because the United States is a great power, which is why deterrence fails, because increased deterrence would obviously embolden Turkey even more, since they understand that increased United States presence would mean increased risk that the United States is backing terror groups that are resulting in violence in the status quo. B is which is also justified by 1AC Ismail and Miss Rai. Uniqueness frames your ballot because they have conceded that deterrence is failing in the status quo. Saying increased deterrence is just ridiculous, because the reason deterrence is failing is not because there is not enough troops in the region. It's failing because the perception of the United States is bad. So the counterplan just emboldens that even more, which is the reason the counterplan is insufficient to solve the case. The terror scenario proper. They extend a couple of pieces of argument. First, they say local forces haven't done anything. Not going for that scenario. We're going for the argument that these terror groups would cease to exist in the first place. They say American forces key to deter. They say American forces key to deterring ISIS. Once again, this is filtered by our argument that ISIS would have no incentive to exist absent the United States, which means withdrawal would stop the incentives for existence. The deterrence page proper. They extend mishighlighting, saying that when the United States backed out, the terror invasions took place. The issue with this is that it's grossly that their re-highlighting is even worse than our initial highlighting. Our argument that is not reverse causal. It doesn't say U.S. pullout resulted in increased intervention. Just say pullout, then increased interventions took place. They also did not read a terminal impact to this, so it doesn't matter. It's also massively outweighed by a terror scenario that happens much faster because terror groups are receptible, or sort of not susceptible. I will concede NATO intervenes, which stops the deterrence scenario, so the only impact your ballot can resolve is terror, and we are massively ahead on terror because they read impact defense that NATO does not intervene or that war does not take place, which I am explicitly conceding. So no Iran war. The only thing that matters is terror, and they just dropped one AR straight turned to terror.
Good debate.
Good debate.